Spirits. I'm your host, Kristi Brower, and of course, you are listening live here on Marvelous Monday on 12radio.com. I'm excited to be back with you. Of course, you have already heard me today on the 12 News Show. We had a great time there with Katie and Barbara, and I think that Mo had a very inspiring show, and so I'm always excited to get to follow Mo, because I know we get you amped up for something, and I hope I can bring something else to amp you up even more. That's certainly my goal. So please join me in the chat room by going to 12radio.com and clicking on the chat button. You will find me in the chat room ×2. My banner is posted at the top of the page. That's where you can chat, comment, ask questions, ask for a reading. I will be doing some later on in the show. You will also find my Facebook Live video. So if you want to watch the show, you most certainly can. Just click on the video and close your radio player, because you don't want to do both. Because the audio doesn't match up. But if you're going to ask a question or make a request for a reading, please do that in the pinned post that Scott put up for me, because the video chat rolls up and I lose your questions. But I'm excited to be here with you today. This is a particularly intense time, don't you think? On a lot of different levels. There's not just one thing happening in the world. There are a lot of things happening in the world, in the U.S., on this planet. There's a lot going on right now. So wherever you are, I suspect that you're feeling some intensity. I know that I am. And so I want to talk a little bit about that today. I want to share a story. And I have a new, this is just going to be sort of an extemporaneous meditation. It's not written. It's just something that's in my head and on my heart. And so I'm going to share it spontaneously with you live a little bit later on in the show. But today I called the topic of this show Bravery. And the reason that I called this show Bravery is because I want to talk about what it takes for us as empaths, as healers, as light workers, as sensitives, as intuitives, what it takes for us to get involved when there are challenging things happening in our world. We have a tendency to withdraw from those things, don't we? We don't want to be around the negative stuff. We don't want to be around the scary stuff, the low vibrating stuff. We tend to just step away and go, well, that's just going to happen over there, and I'm going to be over here because I don't really want to be affected by it. Because we know we will be affected, right? I'm a kinetic empath. That means that everywhere I go, when I run into someone who's having something going on with their energy body, I feel it in my physical body. It's happening inside of me too. That means a lot of pain. That means a lot of low vibrating emotions. That means a lot of stress and challenge that I feel that aren't mine to feel. They belong to somebody else. But I feel like it is my calling, my job, my destiny in this lifetime to use that gift for good, to use that gift. I can't avoid it. I can't hide from it. I'm not going to say I didn't try. I did, I tried to go the mainstream way. I went to college. I became a social worker, typical light worker, empath kind of thing to do. It was a tremendously painful job for me, I have to say. I was in pain the whole time that I did it because I was constantly with people who were in pain. And I was slowly learning how to handle that, what to do with it, how to release myself from those challenges in order to still be able to do the kind of work that I want to do, to have the kind of impact that I feel guided to have. I found that the way to do that was actually to not be a social worker anymore, but actually to take it one step further and become a professional psychic, a master energy healer, to do this on the radio and on the phone throughout the world. I'm also an activist and a community organizer in my community for the LGBT community. I show up for lots of other social justice kinds of things. I'm not going to say it's easy, and I'm not going to say that it's painless, because it's not. I do these things in spite of the fact that they are difficult and painful. It's something I want to talk about. It's something that I want to bring some light to, because I know that you guys listening out there have some similar experiences. And I know that you have, like me, at times decided to stay in your house and decided to stay away. I've done it too. So it's no judgment. It's no blame in any way. It is simply, we have to talk about it. We have to address it. We have to figure out what do we do? How do we stay involved, stay connected, really take what we know to be true inside of ourselves into the streets and still function and not be in pain and not be challenged all the time, not be overwhelmed emotionally by all of the things that we pick up, right? Avoidance is one way, but it's not the only way, because ultimately avoidance limits our impact on the world, doesn't it? And we need to have an impact on the world. We are those people who need to show up right now, aren't we? So I want to tell you a story, and then I'm going to talk you through my Power Peak article this week, and that'll kind of give you an idea of where I'm going with this. So a couple of weeks ago, I attended a community gathering called Our Community Cares, and it was kind of a vigil, and it happened in response to some hateful events that had occurred in our community and our nation within that previous week. So, some of it came from our government and was about transgender individuals in the military, and about how the Civil Rights Act of 1964 does not apply to the LGBT community. Some scary things that were said. And then we had an event happen in our town where some Nazi white supremacist supportive materials were disseminated in the city where I live. Now, if you know anything about Idaho, you know that particularly northern Idaho, which isn't where I live, fortunately, there are a lot of white supremacists. Nazis, skinheads, white supremacists, they exist here in a big way. Not so much locally to me. There are some, I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure you can see my kitty is making her appearance on radio today behind me on the back of my chair. So don't mind Mimi. She just wants to be on the radio. Anyway, so this is not unusual where I live for something like this to happen. What I always want to see is public outcry. What I always want to see is action taken by the city, action taken by the police. I want action, right? So we took some of it into our own hands, some community leaders, and organized Our Community Cares as a little rally and vigil, because we wanted people in our community to know that there are people out there who love all people, that we exist right here in our city, that we're here. Not everybody agrees with what those flyers said. So our mayor and city councilman were there. There were a lot of really familiar faces. It's kind of like the same group of us show up to everything, activists, community organizers, ministers, and other community leaders. So I was feeling pretty positive about this, proud of our community, that people were coming together to say, hey, we don't feel this way. We don't agree with, marginalizing anyone. We don't agree with hate speech, right? And then the mayor spoke. And I was really disappointed in her. I'm just going to say that. I'm not going to use her name, but I was very disappointed in her. Her remarks really were full of excuses, and they were full of cowardice. She kept saying things like, I'm going to take off my mayor's hat and put on my citizen hat. She wouldn't decry that hate speech as the mayor. She did it only as a private citizen. And she said that that was because of free speech. Now, I don't want to get into a big free speech argument, but I do want to say that when you disseminate materials that encourage the harm of other human beings, I think that's a step beyond what we are protected with. Free speech does not mean free of consequences, right? We know that. And that's a mistake that some people make, is that you think that you have the right to say whatever you want to say and you cannot be consequenced for that. No, you can say whatever you want to say and you can be consequenced for that, right? What happens if you say the word bomb on an airplane or in an airport, right? They take you down. They investigate you. They detain you. You can't just do that. You can say the word. Nobody can stop you from saying the word. But what happens? There are consequences to those words. Those things are not tolerated because that is a threat. You can't yell fire in a crowded movie theater, right? I mean, you can physically, you can yell it, and you will have consequences because you can cause a stampede that might kill somebody. So saying things is one thing, but consequences for saying those things is another. So I was very disappointed in our community leader response to what had happened, because it was very weak. They took no action on the people who disseminated them. They called it a prank and said that it was just kids. I'm sorry, but Nazi propaganda is Nazi propaganda, right? I don't care who did it. It is not okay. So I was very disappointed in this really weak response. I left that event really struggling with, this is where I live, and this is the response that our community had. Our own mayor didn't even dare say, in the position of mayor, this is not okay and will not be tolerated in our city, right? What kind of milquetoast response was that? So I've been thinking about it a lot because I was really frustrated and disappointed. I expect bravery in myself. I push myself to be out there and to be a part of these things. And it's not always easy. It's often not easy, but I do because I believe in the right of all people. I believe in that divinity, that connection of that we are all one. You know it. We talk about it all the time, don't we? We talk a good talk. Now we have to walk the walk. I want that inspired in other people around me, right? I wanted that in my community leaders. So when I wrote my article, this was Saturday morning. So Saturday morning, I read an article about the gathering of the Unite the Right at the University of Virginia. And this was before the whole day's rally had happened. This was when the evening thing had happened on Friday night. And so this was a much larger but similar in sentiment group to what happened in my city. Okay, I'm real familiar with this kind of propaganda living where I do. Now, Charlottesville, this was Charlottesville, Virginia, and Charlottesville's mayor, Mike Signer, acknowledged the right of assembly and free speech of these individuals. And then he said, here's my free speech. Not only as mayor of Charlottesville, but as a UVA faculty member and alumnus, I am beyond disgusted by this unsanctioned and despicable display of vile intimidation on a college campus. I was really inspired by him. He had no fear whatsoever as a public leader to say, this is not okay. You may have the right to say it, it doesn't make it okay. And what you're doing in my community is wrong. And of course, we know some really terrible things happened after that. But I was really inspired by him, that he stood up. He was brave. He didn't use his office as a way to shield himself, but he was very public about that. So you might be asking, how does this apply to me? What does this have to do with Metaphysical Talk Radio? Okay, we'll get there. I know, not everybody likes it when we talk political stuff, but I don't think this is political. I think this is human. This isn't about politics. This is about human beings and the right to be yourself and be safe as you are. We all have that right, right? Well, I hope we do. I wish we did, frankly. I'm not sure that we actually do. As a matter of fact, I'm quite sure that we don't. But that's what we have to work on. So here's what I have to say about that. We all have opportunities to speak up, stand up, and show up in ways that bring love forward in our communities, right? I don't like to talk about the hateful stuff because I don't want to give it any attention. I don't want to give it any energy. It takes bravery to say the words and be visible, doesn't it? It takes some bravery and courage to get out there and get involved somewhere. I don't mean to preach any particular belief. This isn't about any particular cause. This is simply about what you hold dear, what matters inside of you. That belief in the divinity of all living things, which I am 100% sure you all have if you're here at 1-2 Radio. I know that I'm speaking to that particular group in all of you. But I do mean to inspire bravery. So I've been participating in marches, vigils, and other activist activities in my small city for most of my adult life. It takes some gumption on my part each time an event comes up to push myself out the door. Sometimes I don't want to go. Sometimes I know it's going to be painful. Sometimes I know it's going to be hard. This stuff isn't easy. There is no easy answer. If there were, we wouldn't be struggling with what we're struggling with, right? But I have pushed myself to go out and do these things because it's a core part of who I am. It is what I believe to be true the divinity of all living things, if I truly believe that, I have to live it, don't I? I have to find lots of ways to live it. So to be visible and stand for something public can be tough. I've been on the TV news, in the newspaper, and interviewed on local talk radio. That's scary. My face has been all over my town as an LGBT plus activist. People know me. I watch them recognize me in grocery stores. Sometimes people speak to me. It can be scary to put myself out there, to put my family out there, because I live in the same town where I work, you know. Everybody knows, lots of people know who I am because of the work that I've done. And I live in a very conservative place. I'm a minority as a lesbian. And sometimes I'm met with hateful responses. Sometimes people say terrible things to me. It doesn't change my conviction, though. It doesn't change my belief that even that person who's saying horrible things to me has the right to be who they are, who they want to be, and live the life they want to live. They don't have the right to harm anybody else. That's where I draw the line. But they have the right to live the way they want to live. And I will fight for that right, as long as it is not harming others and not inspiring harm in others. And the work that we've done in my community has made a difference. Change is happening. Love and acceptance and understanding are growing. So it's not easy, but it is worth it. On Saturday, we did a book fair at the local Barnes & Noble for our Pride organization. So when you do a book fair at Barnes & Noble, it just means that you go and you have a table at the front door and you visit with people and you encourage them to say, you know, hey, I'm supporting Idaho Falls Pride when I make my purchase, right? And so a percentage comes back to us. It's a way to raise funds. And, you know, it's always a little nerve-wracking to go out in public for things like that, because I don't know how that's going to be met by the people coming through the door. And I have to say, I was really pleased that not one person was rude to us. Not one person refused to take our little paper. I didn't have any bad experiences there at all. And that is just a random sampling of the people who live in my community who happened to show up at Barnes & Noble at the mall that day. So I was really pleased with how that went, because I didn't really know what to expect. When I have experiences like that, it gives me courage because I know change is happening in my community. So as you know, I spend my days reading the energy of people, places, relationships, and situations. It's what I do. I spend a lot of time also reading the collective energy of all living things on this planet. I feel the pressure that is building all around us. Many situations are coming to a head, right? I know we have a big eclipse coming up, and that may be part of this energy building. But, you know, it's not like it's the only eclipse we've ever had. Eclipses happen. You know, this isn't a special one particularly, other than that we can all see it here in the U.S. That's what makes it special. But I feel the energy and pressure building around us as things are coming to a head. So I really do believe that now is the time for each of us in the metaphysical community, in the light community, in a community that believes in love and peace and equality and acceptance of everyone, that believes in the divinity of all living things. It's time for us to look to ourselves for bravery in the face of change, strife, hate, and violence. We each hold a powerful light, and when we choose to, we can shine that light out onto the world, bringing a collective force with it. The love we carry inside of us is more powerful than anything. Our world needs that love all of the time, but sometimes the need is greater, and now is the time. It's one of those times now. And so I'm asking you today to open your heart, shine your light, stand up, and show up. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this, but I do think that it's very, very important that we look to ourselves first. What's our hesitation? What's our resistance? What holds us back from getting involved? And I know the answers to those questions because I'm one of you. I get it. I don't like being in a place where there might be some anger or, some backlash. It's hard to be in a large group because that collective energy can be overwhelming. I get it. I really do. But I think it's important that we take that on as an opportunity to learn some skills to clear ourselves, to balance ourselves, to protect ourselves, so that we can go out into those situations, so that we can speak up, so that we can tolerate it, right? Okay, so we're going to do a meditation. I'm going to call this meditation Stand Up. And Scott's going to give us some music. This is sort of a channeled thing, and so I have a rough idea of what it's going to be. I don't have 100% idea of what it's going to be, because it just sort of came to me to do it, and I was prompted not to write it down, but to just do it out loud. So we're going to do that. So Scott's going to bring up some music for us, and we're going to do Stand Up. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Just allow your body to settle. And just feel the music in your heart. Join me as we stand in a long line at the bottom of a football stadium. We're all there together, and we're going to link arms so that we're all connected in one big long chain. And today, as we climb the stairs of this football stadium, as we, as a collective, rise up above what is happening around us so that we can see it objectively and so that we can learn to heal it, we're going to call in some of our kindred spirits to guide us and help us. And as we do that, we will feel infused in our hearts by the energy of each of these kindred spirits as they come forward for us. So as we go to take our very first step up the bleachers of this football stadium, we call in Archangel Michael. And we feel infused in our hearts with the energy of protection. We know we are safe. We know we can take this step and that we are not alone. And we stand up one stair. Very good. And now we call upon Archangel Gabriel. And Archangel Gabriel, we feel infused in our hearts with the energy of Archangel Gabriel. We feel him also in our throat chakras as he encourages us to speak our truth, to speak up, to speak out in moments when others are in jeopardy. And as we do this, we stand up and step up one more stair. And then we call in Archangel Elohim. An Archangel Elohim surrounds our entire group in a red ring of fire. This red ring of fire is protective from all darkness. We are safe. We are safe to stand up. We are safe to be brave because Archangel Elohim is with us. And with him we stand up and we step up one more stair. Now we call in Archangel Raphael. And we feel the love and peace and healing of Archangel Raphael in our hearts. He is present with us to heal old hurts, old pain, and fear that may keep us from standing up. And with him at our backs, we stand up and we step up another stair. And then we call upon the goddess Kuan Yin. And as she comes in with us, we feel her loving energy in our hearts, that peaceful energy that heals all of the cracks of a broken heart. We feel the unconditional love that Kuan Yin has for all of us, and it inspires us to have unconditional love for all of those around us. And with this love in our hearts, we stand up and step up one more stair. We begin to feel ourselves illuminate. We are bright lights. We are bright lights with the ability to shine our bright light on this world, to bring the light to darkness, to bring peace to anger, to heal hate and misunderstanding with our light. We stand up and we step up the rest of the way to the top of the stadium. And when we look out over the top ledge of the stadium, we're still in our group with our arms linked. And what we see above us is a bird's eye view of our world. Below, we can see the heart lights of all of the living things that live on this planet, that are a part of who we are. We feel that connection to them in our hearts, and we know that all of them, no matter what words they say or what beliefs they hold, are the same as we are. We feel that light in us, and we see it in them. We recognize our connection to them. We also recognize our job to be love in action, to be brave, to stand up, to speak up. Now we shine our heart lights all together in a collective out around the world. Right now, the world really needs a boost, really needs the energy of love and peace and understanding to all living things. No one is left out because we are all the same. We all deserve it just as much as anyone else. I'm just going to give you a minute to shine that light out through the world. Now take a moment to remember this feeling. This is you fully supported, healed and open and ready to stand up and show up, to be there, to guide and support the movement and change in this world, in a direction of love, in a direction of peace, in a direction of understanding. With this support behind you, you are protected. You are a beacon of love. Nothing can penetrate this energy. Nothing can harm you. It is something that is flowing out from you. Nothing flows back in at this point. As we shower this planet with all of the love and peace that we hold in our hearts. And now take a few deep breaths. And open your eyes. Okay. Thank you all very much for participating with that. I am going to take the recording and make it available on my website for free download if you would like to use it again. I think it's a powerful one. I really appreciate it. I want to say thanks to my kindred spirits for their inspiration, because I didn't write that before I did it. But I did want to share it with all of you today. I felt very inspired that today is one of those days where we really have to face any fears that we have that keep us from getting involved in places where we need to, in places where we're needed as healers, as light workers, as bringers of peace, as light warriors, as Elizabeth Lindsay likes to say. Whatever the word is, use it and be it. Because I know you are. I know you guys. Don't forget, when I talk to you on the radio, I feel you. I know who you are. You are a powerful force for good. And I know that many of you are already out there doing that work. But if you're feeling hesitant, if you're feeling fearful, please take advantage of that meditation, download it, and use it again. Even if you just need the support behind you to speak up to somebody who is using hateful speech. You know, have you ever been in a place where you witnessed someone saying something hateful or terrible to another person? Have you ever worked with an employee or, had a coworker who was racist and said terrible things to you and you wanted to speak up and felt like you couldn't? Let's work on this. Let's really work on standing up and being able to turn to somebody and say, it is not okay for you to speak like that. I don't want to hear you use those words again. However you want to do it. I know that doesn't mean we change that person, right? We change people through our examples. By being out there in the world, by being public about who we are and letting other people see that. That's how we change the world, one person at a time, is by our example, being who we are. And we can't do that if we're hiding, right? And I understand that desire to hide. I've had it lately. I really have. I have wanted to not do anything. I have not wanted to show my face at anything. Just tonight, I'm going over to the Unitarian Universalist Church, where if I claimed a church, that would be it, where there's been some vandalism. There's frequently vandalism there. We went through about 3 Black Lives Matter banners being stolen and vandalized before we got a permanent one that has stayed. But the other thing was that there's a flagpole there, and hanging from the flagpole is a whole string of peace flags that the congregation made years ago, and someone has vandalized the peace flags, pulled them down and destroyed them. And so today we're going to make new peace flags to hang from there. And every time I do this again, there's a moment of, okay, I got to put myself out there again. Okay, I got to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make myself do it. I know it's going to be challenging. I'm going to call on my kindred spirits and all of that energy to be with me and guide me and support me and help me. I'm going to clear myself afterward. I'm going to carry a protective stone with me while I'm there. I'm going to do all of those things, but I'm still going to go, right? I'm still going to stand up and show up, even though I think it's hard. And I know it is. Ivy says, who was the third angel I called upon? The third angel I called upon was Archangel Elohim. Archangel Elohim is protective against all dark entity attachments and, all the real kind of heavy dark stuff. Archangel Elohim is your go-to for that kind of stuff. So just wanted you to know that. He's someone that I use very regularly. Let's see. Okay, so I wanted to share one more thing. The stone of the week, that is a stone that is awesome for courage, that is awesome for energy and physical stamina. It's a great stone for, really giving us energy when we need it and helping us to feel grounded and safe and protected. And that is red jasper. So I've got a piece right here. My piece that I'm going to show you, hang on one second, I'm going to post the postcard and then I'll show it to you. The piece that I have in my hand is a palm stone, and it's actually red jasper and hematite together, which is a combination that I adore. And I use them like this a lot. But this is a little piece of red jasper. You can see it in the video, and I did post a postcard of it in the chat room. This is a great stone for grounding, protection, courage. It boosts courage and confidence and contributes to a sense of safety and stability. Certainly something we need right now, but certainly something that we need whenever we're standing up for something, whether it's just in words or if we're physically going somewhere to stand up for something. Sorry guys, need a little drink there. Okay, so I want to get to some questions and comments here in the chat. And let's see. Oh, Jan, this is so true. There's a 20-year-old girl doing jail time for her free speech, goading her boyfriend into suicide, right? Pivot point. You are correct. That is the kind of thing I am talking about. Free speech does not protect you if you are harming people with your words, which you literally can do. We know it. We have a giant problem with bullying in this country, don't we? Bullying that leads to suicide. Words do hurt people, and it is not okay to just say whatever you want to say. You do have to consider the ramifications, and there are consequences for words that hurt people. Pamela says, absolutely correct. You may have free speech, but you also have to take responsibility for what comes out of your mouth, right? You might hate your boss, and you have the right to tell them to their face that they do. that you do, and then they have every right to fire you, right? There are consequences to these things. That's something that I think some individuals in our world have forgotten, or maybe really think that they are protected. But it's not happening. There are the individuals who attended that rally in Charlottesville are being identified by name all over the internet because their faces are all over the videos, right? And they're experiencing consequences for their choices, consequences for where they were and what they were doing. And I gotta say that I have to agree with that. I think that there's a reason for those consequences. Okay. Let's see. Several questions and requests for readings. I'm going to get to those in just a minute. Kevin says, yes, I can relate, Kristi. Even here in New York City, the hate happens. One would think that in a city as progressive as Manhattan, that supportive gestures would outweigh the contrast. And, well, they do mostly. But rest assured, the hate exists. One thing, as you say, is to practice free speech. Another is to exercise harm to others. Yeah, I think that's where the line is in the sand is drawn. It's something for us to remember and to hold those accountable who use hate speech to hurt other people. We need to exercise our beliefs, that those truths that we know inside of us, the divinity of all living things, means that it's our responsibility to practice that, isn't it? I think it is. I really do. Okay, I'm going to get you some reading requests, and then I have a couple of other announcements. Katie says, hello, may I have a clearing? Have been dedicating myself to yoga and have shed a lot. Very good, Katie. And you know, yoga is such an awesome way to balance your energy body. I love that. Let's see here. I do feel, Katie, a kind of a block in your throat chakra. So I feel like these are some old words that have gone unsaid, some opportunities to speak your truth that were missed. And so this is a good opportunity to work on your throat and start, really saying how you feel, validating your own emotions, asking for help, asking for what you need. That's okay to do, okay? So I'm just clearing away as much of that energy from your throat as I can, and the rest of it is up to you. So thank you for that question. Let's see. Ivy says, may I please get a clearing? Yes, you surely can. Oh, Ivy, let's see here. Actually, you really look quite good. I just want to raise your vibration up a little bit. I'm wondering, Ivy, are you getting enough rest? I feel like your physical body is run down a little bit. So look at how, if you're getting enough rest, look at your diet, look at your water intake, stuff like that. Have you fallen off somewhere and you're not quite getting what you need in those areas? Because I feel like you're feeling a little run down and it's quite physical. So awesome. I did just raise your vibration for you. But in order to keep it up, you need to kind of figure out what is it that's going on with you that you're lacking. Let's see. Kevin says, update and question. Have been working diligently daily since we last talked on root chakra maintenance. Feel so much better. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Question. I've encountered signs from Get Ready, Greek goddess Athena. Doesn't sound crazy to me at all. I've had Athena come through quite a few times, actually. Just wondered if this may be about creating a strategy. Ah, interesting. Okay. I could see that, Athena, she had a lot of strategy. She's also really, really positive in being proactive. Her energy is very proactive in taking the bull by the horns in your life, which I think would be strategy. So I would look at it that way and, call on her for guidance. I know many people who get messages from Athena. We kind of made up the stories and we gave them their names. We don't necessarily know exactly who they are, except that we know that their energy is positive. And Athena's energy has been showing up on this planet as long as I know about. So I would definitely validate that for you and just encourage you to use it to your advantage. So that's awesome. Let's see. Patricia says, I would so love a reading, please and thank you if you can, or a clear. Let's see. Patricia, let's see. Oh boy, you have a very heavy heart, Patricia. Okay, so I feel like what's in order right now for you is a releasing of responsibility for things that have happened in the past. Patricia, you take responsibility for other people's choices and for things that really were not yours to be responsible for to begin with. So it's one reason why it's difficult to work through the grief of this particular situation, because it really wasn't your choice to begin with, nor was it your responsibility to heal it. This belongs to somebody else. So what I feel guided to do is to we're going to lift that big heavy rock of responsibility off your heart and balance your heart chakra, because I want you to just think about it a little bit, that you've taken on responsibility for something that really isn't yours. And because it isn't yours, you can't heal it. That's why it's with you and you're carrying it for so long. Okay? So much love to you and thank you for that. And, work through that a little bit. Think about, what does that mean for you? Mercy needs some energy and stamina because she's facing a big job. Mercy, get a piece of red jasper. It's a great stone for energy and stamina. I would also recommend that you go get my energy breathing meditation and do it before your big job. It's another way to reset the cycle of energy in your physical body and in your energy body, and to encourage your physical body to draw in new life force energy and release old over and over again, resetting that cycle that will really help you to have more stamina. So I'd recommend that you go get it from my website, KristiBrower.com. It's a free download, and it's a great one for energizing yourself. Oh, yes, Elohim. Sorry, Ivy, I know some people aren't very familiar with Elohim, but Elohim is a real go-to archangel for me personally. Let's see. Handy says, can you do a clearing for me? You bet, Handy. Let's see what's going on there. Oh, it's all about the heart and throat today, guys. That's interesting. Handy, you have a heart-throat block. So you've been feeling some things that you've been having difficulty expressing. So you're feeling them in your heart. They're not really coming out your mouth. So you've got to express those emotions. When you feel them, you have to say them. It's about validating yourself. It really is about being honest about how you feel. I feel like you may have gone along with something that you didn't really want to do, and that's weighing fairly heavily on you. And so the only way to change it is to be truthful and say how you're feeling. I'm going to clear as much of that as I can so that there's movement happening in there. It makes it much easier for you to do your part when the energy is moving and not feeling stuck. So just clearing some of that out. Okay, there we go. I think you'll be able to express that now and change it. You change your situation, be honest about how you're feeling, and I think you'll find that you feel quite a bit better. Pamela says the mayor of Boston has made it known that those Unite the Right protesters are not, or marchers, I guess, really, are not welcome here. I love it when I hear communities saying, hey, we don't want you. I wish my community had said that. There were people in my community who definitely said that. I wish that our city officials had said that, but that is really not what they said, unfortunately. They stepped around it like true politicians would. Ivy says, yes, physically having some challenges, but yes, that's my fault, not doing the best for this body. Thanks for the vibrational increase. You're very welcome. And sometimes we just need called out a little bit and somebody to say, hey, I don't think you're taking very good care of yourself, for you to go, you're right. Okay. I need to do better. And you can. I know you can. Okay. And Geraldine says, I would love a clearing if you have time. You betcha. Let's see what's going on, Geraldine. Oh man, Geraldine, your crown chakra is way overactive. You have tornado energy, buddy. Your head is big. And I don't mean that in a physical sense. It is in an energy sense. And so I bet you're feeling like you just don't have any control over your thoughts. You may not be sleeping well, maybe feeling some anxiety or some depression. You may have some trouble with your memory and your focus. So we're going to clear that crown out. Just get all of that cleared up. I would say the same thing to you, Geraldine, that I said to Mercy. Go to my website and get my meditation, energy breathing. This would help you a lot to stay grounded and centered and balanced and clear out that extra energy in your crown chakra, because holy cats, you've got a lot on your mind, I can tell. And so sometimes you have to pull your energy back down into your body when you have so much on your mind to slow it down and get connected, get reconnected to your physical body. And that will slow the brain down, okay? So some things that you can do: go take a walk, go get out in nature and do something physical. That will help you to reconnect to your body. Limit your screen time. You know, we all spend a lot of time in virtual reality. And when we're in virtual reality, we're not really in our bodies. Everything's happening in our mind because it's not really real. You know what I'm saying? So see what you can do about that. Thank you for your question and for being here today. Okay, so I want to tell you about next week's show. You know, because we can't quit talking about it, that the big solar eclipse is next Monday. And I am in the path of totality. And the eclipse itself, the actual blackout, happens halfway through Kindred Spirits. So my plan, and I guess we'll see how it works out, and I'll tell you why it might be problematic. But my plan is to live stream my show from my backyard. I will be on the radio. I will also be on Facebook Live, but I'm going to be outside so that I can actually show you the eclipse as it is occurring. I have eclipse glasses for myself and also for my phone, which I will be using to stream because, as I understand it, it will burn out camera lenses if they are not protected. So I do have protection for all of that. My only hang up is if the internet gods are not smiling upon us, because, we're going to have 250 to 300,000 people visiting my little 60,000 person city. And so it's possible that our internet will go down. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that that will not be the case, and really hoping that I will be able to do this. So that is my plan. My show will be about the eclipse. I'm going to be talking about what it means for all of us, not from an astrological standpoint, because I'm not an astrologer, but from an energy standpoint. So I'm going to talk about the energy of this eclipse, what it means, and what we can do with that energy. But you're going to actually get to experience the blackout on video with me. That is my intention. So I'm really looking forward to sharing that with you guys. Just not exactly sure how it's going to all play out, but something cool is going to happen. I do intend to do a meditation during the blackout period, because it's a very interesting time for us where the day becomes night for just a couple of minutes. It's not very long. It's a little less than 2 minutes that's actually going to happen. But I'm going to share that with you next week. So we will see how it goes, but I'm looking forward to that. So you want to be sure to tune into Kindred Spirits next week. Oh, I have a lot of things going on, but I wanted to share an email reading that I have with you. This is my energy shift email reading. I call this Energy Shift. Let's get moving. So if you are feeling like you are stuck right now, and there are a lot of us feeling that way, having difficulty moving forward in various ways, I want to be helpful in that, because moving forward and changing is a big part of my gifts. I know how to make that happen, and I will be able to assist you if you are feeling stuck. And so I have this email reading for you. Here's the description. Are you feeling stuck? Do you feel like you're walking through mud? Shifting your energy creates movement in your life. It creates change, it creates growth, and it moves you forward toward your goals. All you have to do is tell me where you are stuck, and I will give you an energy shift exercise for you to practice to shift you out of park and into drive. So you're familiar with my energy shift practices. A lot of my meditations are energy shift practices, but I will tailor something specific to you based on whatever it is that you're struggling with. If you're having difficulty with something, then I will, tailor an exercise to that in order to help you move forward in a positive way, and shed any blocks, shed anything that is keeping you from moving forward and taking some positive steps. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. It is an email reading. I posted it in the chat room, but you can always find it over at one2listen.com on my advisor profile page. If you just click on email readings. I have a whole bunch of email readings, but if you just scan through there, you'll find it. And I love helping you get out of a stuck place. That's one of my favorite things to do, is to help you move forward in something that you haven't been able to. I love all of my work. I love everything that I get to do, but helping you in a place where you might be stuck to move forward is one thing that I find really, really fun and, really inspiring. So if you're stuck, reach out to me. We'll come up with a plan. Okay, so I just want to summarize what we've been talking about today. So today we talked about bravery. We did a meditation that I'll clip it out of this show and put the MP3 available on my website after the show, so that if you want it, you can have it and download it. I'm encouraging all of us in the light worker, light warrior, metaphysical world to really step up and show up. Shine those bright lights that we have been working on. We've been developing ourselves for a long time, haven't we? It's really time for us to take that energy and shine it out into the world. We do this work for ourselves, but we also do it for the rest of the world. When we change, so does everyone around us. When we shine our lights, everyone around us gets brighter too, right? So I think that's a really important thing that we have to remember. I also think it's important to remember that you need to protect yourself. You need to ground. You need to clear yourself afterward. And you need to recognize that it might be uncomfortable, that you may get into some situations that are challenging, that are difficult. But the problems that we're having right now aren't easy solutions. If their solutions were easy, we would have solved them already, right? When it comes to equal rights, when it comes to racism, when it comes to homophobia, when it comes to fear of people who are different, when it comes to fear of the loss of privilege, which is what I think what we were witnessing over the weekend. A part of that, at least, was a fear of the loss of privilege. These are not easy things to solve. I wish that they were. I don't have all the answers. None of us do. But I think when we come together collectively, we have many more. So I want to challenge you to look for ways to get involved, even if it is just speaking up to individual people. If you hear someone, harming someone else with their words, if you hear someone, using hate speech or, racism or homophobia, stand up, say something, step in. You can do it. I know that you can. That is in all of you. It's just that we've gotten scared and we've gotten used to sitting in our own little communities. We were talking on the 1-2 News show about how, sometimes you accidentally slip and say something about your protection stone or, to somebody who doesn't understand what that is. And then you get labeled woo-woo. Okay, well, that does happen to us, but that doesn't mean that we have to keep showing up in the world, even if we are different, because we have a lot of love to give. We all do. I believe in you. I know you can do it. And I know that we are together in this. Thanks so much for being here with me today. And as always, thanks for listening to 1-2 Radio, where we're changing the way you listen to the world.